Boogeyman! Whoops, wrong movie. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming your way to review a movie that I kind of rolled my eyes at last year in 2023 when it came out, and I saw, the trailers or poster or whatever online. I was just like, oh God, this is now, is this the third time it's been done? It's at least the third time it's been done. I think the first time this was done was my personal favorite of the movies, the early 80s, Uli Lamel, The Boogeyman, starring Susanna Love and her brother, something, Jethro Love, whatever, directed a Halloween ripoff by Uli Lamel. That's my favorite Boogeyman movie. And then I want to say in like 2005 or 6, Sam Raimi's Ghost House Productions or Ghost House Pictures put out, Boogeyman or something. I do actually have the VHS of that. And I saw it back in the day, and I remember thinking it looked good or whatever, visually, but I wasn't a big fan of that Boogeyman. And honestly, I probably liked this Boogeyman more than that Boogeyman. This movie is called The Boogeyman, and this is, just like with the Lawnmower Man, Stephen King must write a lot of movies with short stories, write a lot of short stories with the last word man, like, Medieval Man, who knows, Laser Man, Neutron Man. I can understand why. If you know what that line is from, please let me know in the comments. I'm just a movie encyclopedia, just movie dialogue just coming out of my anus. But anyway, this is supposedly based on, just like with Lawnmower Man, a short, Stephen King short story, The Boogeyman. Like, how original is that story and that title, Stephen King? But so Beth and I did watch this on Hulu for free, and I want to say the Blu-ray, or at least at some point right around this time, was only like $10, and I'm tempted to get it because one thing I do want to say about this most recent, version or incarnation of The Boogeyman is that I really think it looks good. And I've said it before that I'm not a big fan of digitally shot movies, basically the film industry leaving celluloid behind and just shooting all movies digital. But I have said in several times in the past that it can be done right, and this is a perfect example of, in my opinion, digital cinematography, digital photography of a movie being done right, and just like a lot of it looks really good, like with the dark and the candles and stuff. I'm a big fan of candlelight and things and the dark and stuff, so I do think it's actually a relatively handsome looking movie, or a good looking movie. So the premise of this is, you've got like a teenage girl, and she's got a younger daughter, or younger sister rather, that are living with like psychiatrist shrink dad, they've all recently lost mom. And just like I kind of talked about in my last review alone, where so many movies now are just full of these insufferable characters just suffering, going through their life hell and things. This girl has recently lost her mom. Did they say how? I can't remember if she said how long ago she lost her mom or whatever, but recently lost mom, and all three of them, dad, daughter, and younger daughter, are dealing with this. And dad's a psychiatrist. He sees people, he charges them a big bucks and sees them in his house, some office or whatever, and that's them dealing with life. And this little girl, even before the stuff hits the fan in this movie, is afraid of the dark. And she's, if you've seen the poster or the cover art or the trailer or whatever, that this, and I think it's this sphere is supposed to be like the moon. It's like a light up moon, which is really kind of cool. She basically sleeps with this, and it's her way to combat the dark of, in a room or whatever. And I was just sitting here watching it with Beth, and I was just getting all pissed off, and I'm like, I know it's like the movie gimmick or whatever for her to roll the light globe into the closet to see if anything's in there, but all she needs is a flashlight, and she can flash it there. She doesn't have to go get the globe out of the scary closet. She can flash it over here. She can flash it there, back into the closet. Like, if you just had a flashlight instead of this frickin' glowy globe, you wouldn't have to roll the globe all over the place and then, of course, go to the scary place to go get the globe again. But I know it's the shtick of the movie or whatever, and for the most part it's kind of cool, and it kind of makes you roll your eyes or whatever. I guess artist, I guess, you know, now deceased mom was some kind of artist, which plays into the movie a little bit. And early on in the movie, the older daughter in high school, takes mom's dress and goes to wear it to high school, only to have some bitch bully girls. They just recently remade Mean Girls, didn't they? So this movie kind of has a little bit of Mean Girls in it. I mean, I haven't seen, I don't think, neither of the Mean Girls movies, so I don't know what they're about, but I can only assume there's girls that are mean in them. There's a scene where the dress is kind of, you know, temporarily ruined by a mean girl, and it's just like, I remember I saw the bullying and the bullshit that was going on to this main girl character at school, and I'm like, I told Beth, and kind of to myself, I just said it out loud, I never, and kind of, I never have to go to school again. I just kind of said it to the world, just, you know, to myself and to Beth, and just feeling so fucking glad that I never have to, at least in this life, unless I got to go to some re-education camp. I guess that's a possibility in the coming years, the way things are going. But yeah, I never have to go to, well, we'll just say conventional school again. A re-education camp wouldn't, you know, be exactly the same thing or whatever. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. It's basically, you know, it's kind of a trend. And that's why I don't watch a lot of current movies. Like these characters, I mean, understandably so. They've just lost mom and, you know, and the wife of the dad. But it's just like, it seems like such a trend these days for just these just depressed characters and things. But I can't remember. Oh, I remember. So this creepy guy who's kind of looks like, I don't know, I've seen him in stuff before probably. He's poor guy. He's probably always cast as a creepy guy. But he knocks on the door, and basically the boogeyman is you know, I think killed his kids or something, and his wife is kind of nuts at her house. We meet her later, and this guy is like haunted by the boogeyman or whatever. And the boogeyman, incidentally, in this movie is, I was just really annoyed because it's like this CG. If you've seen that recent Blair Witch movie from like 2016 or whatever, with the long legs and the long arms, like that's what the boogeyman is. And it's not even a man, it's like a monster. I mean, you should have called this the Boogie Monster, because it's not a man, you know? It's, at least Uli Lamel's boogeyman was like a guy with a stocking over his head and a wife beater, but this is like the Boogie Monster. So that was the most annoying thing about this movie for me, was like the boogeyman was a boogie monster, whatever. But basically when this guy who's, you know, is being currently terrorized by the boogeyman, Boogie Monster, comes to this guy's place to get some free counseling, and then, you know, what all intents purposes looks like he goes and hangs himself in a closet in, you know, the late wife's bedroom or whatever. Once I guess he brings the curse of the boogeyman onto them or whatever, and once the boogeyman gets a taste of the depressed nature of this household, he's like, oh, okay, here's another depressed household I can, you know, terrorize and drain the life force of and kill and whatever. So, you know, like I say, I'm not good at getting all the details on a single viewing, but I think that's pretty much all the detail that needs to be gotten from this movie. So and then there's this kind of annoying thing. You know me, how I don't really like Asian horror and the kind of stuff like the Grudge and like one of the production design elements that I don't like about this movie is the way like the more infested like the boogeyman kind of makes a house, like the more on the ceiling and stuff, like this dark, nasty just stuff is like just growing, you know, and physical or visual representation of like the fact that the boogeyman is manifesting his booginess, Boogie Monster is manifesting his booginess all over any particular household in this movie. I don't like that crap, and how like Asian horror is just so heavily just all over like non-Asian, you know, North American horror and things. I don't like that aspect of the movie. My least favorite things about the movie is like the boogeyman is a monster, and just that, you know, stupid crap on the walls and the ceiling, just the dark growth and stuff. It was kind of cool when we go, you know, the main character, teenage high school depressed chick, does go, well, she doesn't drive herself, she needs a friend to drive her to like the house of you know, the former house of this guy who was probably killed by the boogie monster, but looked like a suicide in the closet. At their house, somehow I can't remember how she's got the address, so they go to the address of, you know, where the wife still lives, and she's all just like this white trash kind of just woman who's like, you know, like Laurie Strode in Halloween 2018. Her life is just devoted to killing the boogie monster, and that's one of the things that I think looks really good, is like she's got candles all over the ground, so you know, so it's constantly light, because the boogie monster loves the dark, and the boogie monster can hide in the dark, and so that element visually I thought was really good. But so many movies like this, and I did see, oh my god, maybe I should do a brief review of this. We did see Night Swim as well, because it was, you know, no additional cost on Peacock. And we did see that as well. And so many movies, like I even thought Night Swim and even this thing, like so many movies these days start relatively not horrible, like okay. And, you know, the boogie, same with Night Swim in my opinion, and this movie, like, yeah, they just, like, the last, you know, whatever, half of the last third, just in my opinion, just get kind of eye-rolly-ish and just, you know, gotta do this and that, and you know, mom's lighter saves the day, and yeah, so I don't know if I can say much more about the Boogeyman. Like you know, the main, like the high school daughter girl was actually amazingly not, you know, horrible to look at, and which is surprising in these days. But you know, obviously, you know, you can't blame the character for being depressed and stuff, you know, having just lost mom. But you know, it's a little annoying to just see a movie full of just depressed characters or whatever. And there's a scene where they invite like some quote unquote girls, you know, some of the girls that bullied her over for a party, and they just kind of, it turns into a shitty situation. It's just like, I think that was another time I'm like, I never have to go to school again, even though it wasn't a school, it was a party. I never have to go to a party again with bullies from school. Not that I ever went to a party, you know, with bullies from school, but you understand, you know what I'm saying. It's just like kind of a depressing scene where the bullies are bitches to the girl again in her own house. But yeah, obviously at the end of the day they end up, I think, thwarting the boogie monster or whatever. And I think there's a little bit, you know, you can't not do this in a movie these days. There's a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a hint of like sequel set up at the end, like it's not over or whatever. And one thing that I thought was funny is there's this scene where I don't know if both of these girls go see a shrink. I don't know why. It might be a conflict of interest, but you know, dad's a shrink. I don't know why the girls can't talk to dad, but maybe, you know, if any psychologist or psychiatrist is watching this, maybe there's some code of ethics where you can't, you know, see your own children. And maybe the reason he won't see his kids is because they can't afford it. But yeah, once you can afford to see me, then I'll counsel you. But since you can't, we'll have you go see this lady who makes things worse by, okay, I'm going to turn because the little girl's afraid of the dark, I'm going to turn the lights off now, and here's this blinking red box. And by the way, this red light, when it's on, it's so scary. It's almost more scary than the dark. The darkness is, because this red light makes me, you know, the psychiatrist woman, look scary, and the room's scary, and it's like a hell light. But anyway, this red light is going to blink like slower and slower until it's eventually black, or dark, I should say. It's just one of those scenes that's like, oh, give me a break. But I think that scene, in addition to some other scenes, cinematically are shot and cut relatively well. And that's one thing I do want to say in closing, is I already said it, like I like how a lot of this movie looks. Like there was a little bit of a visual flair to this movie that I think stood out more so than most movies do, in my opinion, so I appreciated that. And I thought the first half was relatively good, and I don't understand why we're calling this the Boogeyman, and it's like a boogie monster or whatever. But I don't know if they, yeah, maybe, I can't remember if they said any history of, you know, where this entity comes from. Like I say, I'm not good at absorbing all of the information on a single viewing, but Star rating for The Boogeyman. I don't think I can, from 2023, I don't think I can go any higher than, hell, we'll do 2 1/4 stars out of 4 stars for 2023's The Boogeyman. And like I say, if you're a heterosexual male or a gay female, you might enjoy at least looking at the older daughter or whatever. God, is there going to be a time where maybe it's already a time where it's kind of creepy for me to say that. Like I say, I don't feel as old as I am, so I might have to stop saying that. But I would imagine the actress is 18 or older, so I think it's okay for me to say that if she if she is. Either way, I'm not going to do anything. You know what? It's not a crime to say she's not horrible to look at, but I think that'll pretty much do it for my review. I can't say I recommend this movie, but if you've, got access to Hulu, or if you can see it free or whatever and want to waste 90 minutes of your life, I mean, there's worse movies, obviously, you can do it with, but this is definitely one that you can do it with. So I guess that pretty much does it for my review of The Boogeyman. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, we'll catch you on the next video.